Krystal Ball has been kind of like just throwing it out the window. Somebody said something that was a little interesting. They said that she's doing one of those subliminal MSNBC auditions like Mehdi Hassan. I was like, it don't really sound all that crazy. Because when she jumped in to smear Tulsi, let's be clear, like she was being dishonest and disingenuous, insinuating that Tulsi was trying to uplift a smear of Ilhan Omar when Tulsi never mentioned Ilhan Omar. If Tulsi had a problem with Ilhan Omar, she would mention her. Like, if you know Tulsi by now, which Krystal should know, at least know her well enough to know that Tulsi always mentions people she has issues with. Now, of course, if she doesn't think it's worth it, she won't mention you. But if there's an issue like to that degree where she feels like you're guilty of ballot harvesting or ballot tampering or of election fraud, she would just tag you, or she would call you out in an interview. When she's had problems with Trump, Pelosi, even Bernie to a smaller degree, she'll tag you. Just like when she wants to defend you, she'll tag you, which Ilhan Omar should know. So, but Krystal decided to uplift that smear. Krystal has also been trying to pretend as if Biden is not who he is. Because remember, whenever Bree kind of went off and decided to go her own way along with Nina Turner after they left Bernie Sanders' campaign, Krystal was all gun-ho, right? Oh man, we gotta stand our ground here. I'm not voting for Biden. Oh my God, just kidding. Trump said something mean today. Trump uses Obama's policies to do what we know Trump's going to do. And therefore, we have to ignore all of our principles and what we know about Biden, who was the one who introduced the bill that allowed Trump to do all this, that allowed Obama to do what he did in Ferguson, that allowed him to do what he did in Baltimore, to utilize these fusion centers. Oh, that was the Patriot Act. Oh, by the way, Biden introduced that too. Shit, well, damn. But now Krystal is even pushing the Democratic Party propaganda regarding the stimulus package. And I'm going to show you what she said. So as we know, Donald Trump announced the other day that the negotiations are done. Now this was Krystal Ball's response. Pelosi and the Dems literally wanted to help Trump give out money to millions of Americans before the election, and he said no. Ladies and gentlemen, what? We're going to address that. But of course, my response, I was trying to be nice, but my patience is completely out the window. Since when did Krystal become so disingenuous? Is this all to stay in the good graces of the Dems? I think that a lot of us have had that question. And I'm going to ask you why. I'm going to answer that question for you. I'm going to answer the question that you have on your mind about why I asked that question. There you go. And this is why. Because, as we can see here, this is what Trump tweeted out. If I am sent a standalone bill for stimulus checks, $1,200. So the same amount that we got last time, although a lot of people argue it should be more. They will go out to our great people immediately. I'm ready to sign it right now. Are you listening, Nancy? He even tagged Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, McConnell, it looks like. So you get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? Like, for most people, I think that they feel that that's what we want. And now Trump, in a later tweet, said, which is what a lot of us expected, Nancy Pelosi's asked for $2.4 trillion to go exclusively to dim cities, and to be frank, like, let's be real, corporations. Now, I wouldn't argue that Trump altruistically is trying to prevent corporations from getting money. I wouldn't argue that. But I am saying that the fact does remain that he just signed an executive order, right? the order was to extend unemployment through 2020, right? In that order, which came to many people's surprise, in that order, Trump completely undercut corporations and the lobbyists that pay people like Nancy Pelosi. They didn't get any money. Unemployment went straight to people. Now, if I wanted to nitpick, I would say, well, you should have put the stimulus in that particular piece of legislation. But also, in that same series of executive orders, what did he do? He extended the moratorium on mortgages so people wouldn't be evicted or have their loans defaulted on. He extended the moratorium on evictions, although some small businesses or some small real estate property managers have been trying to ignore it like it doesn't exist. But that doesn't mean that he didn't try. And once again, this was, to be clear, as Pelosi announced that they were going to go on vacation. They were about to go on vacation, and they did until after Labor Day. And then Trump extended the moratorium, and he extended unemployment, undercutting the middleman. I didn't say he did this altruistically. Of course, he probably did this because an election's coming up, and he took a lot of flack from not only the left, but of course, even populist people on the right, like Sager, like Jack Posobiec. I think even Cernovich called him out. A lot of conservatives called him out on this. He knows that that can't happen again, so he's trying to play the game and out-left the Democrats once again. It wasn't the Democrats who extended the moratorium on evictions, and Krystal has not, at least not that I've seen. I haven't been watching all that much. I can't stunt. Like, I'm not going to pretend like I watch her every day. It's kind of hard to stomach most progressives now. And I'm sure Krystal's a nice person. But at the end of the day, like, you stopped holding Democrats accountable. And it seems like you've only stopped holding them accountable and started even smearing Trump. Once again, there's a lot of ways that you can hold Trump accountable for his failure during the pandemic, because each branch of government and each politician has played very unique ways in failing this country. They play very unique parts in failing this country during this pandemic. The main one is by merely just ignoring the solutions that are available. But when Trump said that, I was expecting for Krystal to then maybe tweet out something or do a video or something like that, saying, oh, well, my bad. Pelosi, get on it. No, nothing. Nada, zilch. She moved on to something else. If progressives don't use the leverage, the very little leverage that we have right now, because they basically gave up all their leverage the moment that they decided to back Biden. I mean the blue check progressives, right? If they're going to use the leverage that we have, like just basically kissing Nancy Pelosi's ass, pretending like Biden isn't who he is, and smearing Trump is not the way to get anything, especially when you won't hold the Democrats accountable for anything before they even have office. And history has already showed us you don't move left once you become president, except for the one little scenario where that happened. JFK is no longer with us. Catch my drift. So what exactly is Krystal's goal? And this goes back to the argument that I was making back in 2016, which is, it's crazy to me when you see these rich white people, white women specifically, if I'm being frank, pretend as if they're voting for Biden for anybody else other than themselves. Don't pretend like it's about poor people. Don't pretend like it's about black people. Don't pretend it's about Latinos. Don't pretend that it's about the marginalized and the underprivileged. Don't pretend that it's about us. Don't pretend it's about leftists and leftism. Don't pretend it's about policy. Damn sure it can't be about that. It's because Trump makes you feel uncomfortable. And in Krystal's case, it looks like it's because Well, the progressive didn't win, or the progressive that she backed didn't win, Bernie, and now she doesn't really know what else to talk about or what else to do. The truth is, people like Chuck Rocha, they went and started their own little corrupt ass firms. Jeff Weaver started a corrupt super PAC. Bree has her own podcast where I'm sure she's doing fine. Nina's even doing okay. She has 2 podcasts and a new progressive consulting firm. A lot of people are looking for their cut of the Bernie movement, so to speak. And to be clear, as Simone Sanders demonstrated, there's very, very few jobs out there, very few ways to make money in this space quicker than being a former Bernie supporter who goes to the establishment. Even if it's just nominally you were a Bernie supporter. Look at AOC. Look at Jeff Weaver. Look at Chuck Rocha. Look at the Justice Democrats. Look at the Sunrise Movement. This is where we're at. So maybe that person who tagged me on Twitter does have a point. Maybe they're right. Maybe Krystal's trying out for MSNBC like Mehdi Hassan. Who got jobs? What's that one girl's name? Natalie Fiorini? I think that's her name. Something Fiorini. I'm really bad with names. Y'all know this. She got a job. Let me check. Francesca? Is that her name? Francesca? I don't remember, but she got a job. She used to be with Al Jazeera, or at least she might still be, but at least that was her main job. Then she got a show on MSNBC. Why? Engaging it. She went from anti-war rhetoric to, well, it's okay to be pro-regime change sometimes, especially in the Middle East. Coincidentally enough, against the regimes that Al Jazeera, or at least their founders, don't like. Then you have Mehdi Hassan. He was there for the Intercept's transition into neo-progressivism, and then of course, what did he got? He just recently got rewarded, and look at the interviews he's gotten. Just keeping it. Look, Sam Cedar got his job back, damn near full time. Maybe there's something to it, which would be sad. It really would, because I do have an appreciation for a lot of what Krystal did in the progressive movement, but I have always said the way she's being uplifted, the way that she kind of well, not just her, obviously the producers who bring in people, they carefully curated the people that they brought on to the show. They allowed Tulsi to go on, for example, but her surrogates, like myself, weren't allowed on. We never got invited. In fact, I was invited. I had everything scheduled, and then there was a scheduling conflict because it was the holidays. But then after that, they just kind of, and like, I know it wasn't Sagar. I can tell you that. They had Jimmy on, but of course, it's because Jimmy is Jimmy. Haven't had him on very much since, though, have they? They haven't had any of the Never Biden people on, except for maybe Sagar, because he works there. But Sagar has objectively criticized both Trump and Biden and the Democrats and the Republicans. He's doing a lot of what we used to look to Krystal to do. And maybe it's easy from a populist right-wing perspective, but I think it's easier to do it from the left. So I'd like to know what y'all thoughts about that, because this is getting crazy, man. We just kissing Pelosi's ass. Uncritically now, I guess. Oh man, make sure you like this video before we go on to the next subject. Make sure you like this video.